So what do I need to do to get around Misha?
Adjust.
Yeah, evaluate it, right? And figure out what worked, what didn't work, what might I do differently, right? Do you understand now, and I know this is supposed to be a damn interview.
No, it's perfect.
But you make a good wall. So
Perfect.
You're like, he's a big dude. So every time I see him, I'm like, damn, you're big. And I really bumped up against you.
Damn, he's smart.
But the point of business is if you keep doing the same exact thing over and over again and expect a different result, that's the definition of
insanity.
Right? And all you have to do really to succeed in business is evaluate and figure out what worked, what didn't, what might I do differently, and just do that thing differently. Yeah. And eventually you're going to get closer to where you want to go. And it's not going to be a straight line ever in business. It's going to be this. Yep. If you're evaluating enough, it's going to look like this. And sometimes you're going to go, oh, whoa, I'm on the precipice. Ooh, oh. You're going to go, what worked? What didn't work? What might? And you go, okay, let me try. Oh, okay. And that's just business. And so if you really want to learn how to be successful, everything that we just talked about, strategy versus tactics, leadership versus dictatorship, I didn't talk about that. But those that master tactics and get really good at them, but don't master leadership, they can have success that looks like this, like I did. But leadership requires skills and behaviors that actually create lasting change and help other people to be successful. To grow a company, where a company becomes successful, it's not about how good the leader is, it's how effective the organization works. It's how effective, if you have outsourcers, it's not, like you have to be able to manage those outsourcers, and you have to be able to paint the picture of Suckville and Awesometown so you can get them enrolled in what you're trying to do and get them to actually help you do it versus just you telling them exactly what to do, because then everything is on your shoulders. And that's just a fact. I know this is kind of over some of your guys' head. I apologize, but it's really actually a principle that's true in all areas of business. So,
well, remember back to day one, what's one of the super affiliate laws? Never quit. Right? And what did I teach within the context of that lesson? That failure is simply a feedback mechanism. And the only way you truly fail is if you let one of your small micro failures, like Tim's talking about, allow it to go ahead and knock you off your course and bring you to the point of quitting, right? I'd be willing to bet that Tim has experienced some failures in the last month. Am I correct?
Oh, in the past few days, guys.
Yeah, just like he said.
Like when Sensei tells you what you did wrong, you put your head down, you go, yes, Sensei. Yes, Sensei. Sorry, Sensei. Here you go, Sensei. Like, dude, you think I'm joking? Like, that's what I've heard for the past 4 days. And if I could go, well, I'm a terrible Otomo. I can't do this. I can't do it. And I felt like that a couple times. And I was like, well, how do you gain wisdom? How do you gain true leadership and true skills? You don't go, I suck. You go, what might I do differently? Yeah. Yeah. That's it. That's the lesson. And I love what you just said, Misha. You're a master at that. So you remember how I said Misha did it much faster than me? He unconsciously was more competent than me a lot faster, and that's how he's been able to do what he's been able to do. And it's super, super impressive, my friend. Big hand for Misha.
Thank you. Awesome. So, thank you. And on the topic, I mean, we're talking kind of about, again, failure, and we're talking about how failure is just kind of a feedback mechanism. But still, I'm a believer. I think one of our common mentors says that smart people learn from their failures, and wise people learn from the failures of others. Mm-hmm. And I know it looks really cool when you host an event like this. You have people in a room. You get to talk about your accomplishments. You get to talk about everything you've been able to do. But you guys have heard some of my failures, right? You guys have heard how many times I've done just stupid shit that's gotten me in situations that I've not wanted to be in, and I've had to problem solve my way out of them, right? And so, Tim, could you just kind of bring some of our people into maybe a few of your failures that you've experienced, because I'm sure you've experienced quite a few throughout your journey, to maybe allow them to either avoid them or just understand that they actually happened, so they understand that if they're at a point where they're failing a little bit more, they should just keep going.
Sure. So I think one of the things that's led to the most failures is probably lack of evaluation. Like, hey, things that seem like great ideas, like Keith talks about.
Yep. Mistake.
Everything.
Great idea.
Yeah. So a lot of us have belief systems. We have ideas. We have things that we kind of hold on to as true, but they're really unexplored or unevaluated. What's that called? What's another word for that? Assumption. And what does assumption really stand for? I learned this in the military. Making an ass out of you and me. So if you think of assumption, ass out of you and me. Assume is ass out of you and me, right? So that's really what an assumption. So it's untested, unqualified, internal. It's not evaluated. So an assumptive type of approach to business doesn't work. It's like shotgun marketing. It's like throwing mud against the wall and seeing what sticks and hoping it's going to work. So every single failure that I've had, and I've had many, many of them, is usually based on untested assumptions, things that I didn't realize or understand. So what don't I see?
Yep.
Like, it's great. Opportunities are awesome. Would you guys agree on opportunity is a great thing? Yeah. But only in the context of the risk. Because if the opportunity is here and the risk is here, I'll be honest with you guys, I played the lotto the first time, day before yesterday. I didn't buy the ticket. One of the host sensei bought all of us a ticket, and I'm like, oh shit, I don't want this. Because now if one of us wins, how are we going to set up a, I was thinking in my head, I'm like, how are we going to do this? And everyone, is still cool. And it's like, someone might be killed in their sleep tonight. Like, I don't, but the risk of a lottery ticket is very minimal, right? And the opportunity is high. But also, what's the probability of success?
Yeah.
Not very high. So that's hopeful, wishful, right? So all these things have to be measured together. Opportunity, risk, probability.
Yeah.
And anytime one of those three things is missing, I usually ends up in catastrophe unless I'm extremely lucky, which I have been lucky before. So, I mean, like hiring people is one example, like bringing on people that shouldn't be on the team.
Yep.
In my early days. I need this done. You have that skill set, you do it. Boom, throwing it over the fence and hoping that he or she will catch it and make it happen. That's one example. I've done that multiple times. It's been heartache, pain, or trusting.
Yep.
Trusting people to have integrity and perform something for you and not run and go and compete against you. Like stuff like that. So things like that have happened in the past. And every time it's cost money, it's cost time, it's cost heartache. So what worked, what didn't, what might I do differently, right? Well, what worked was we got a result for a time or we got feedback, right?
Yep.
We got feedback on our failure.
Yep.
You pick those things that worked and you go, okay, what didn't work? And then you're supposed to stick to two. You guys aren't going to stick to two because you're going to beat yourselves up. You're going to go, this didn't work, 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 and this didn't work, and this didn't work, and I sucked. And then you're going to get all like pissed off at yourself again. Don't do that. Try to stick to what's the two things, biggest things that did not work. And then what's one thing I might do differently? Try that. Just try it. Will you guys agree to try that? Raise your hand if you agree to try that. Yes. Okay, for those of you that didn't raise your hands, you guys are just going to remain stuck forever. So I'm going to ask you again. Actually, stand up and say yes. Who's committed to trying that? Stand up and say yes. 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 Still people are sitting down. Are you serious right now? All right, take your seats. You guys are like, man, it's Sunday. Is this guy ever going to shut up and stop talking? I just want to have a beer, man. They're sitting there on stage drinking beers. This is not cool. Anyway.
So it sounds like, again, take action, measure, adjust. Take action, measure, adjust.
Absolutely.
Two things that you could do differently, two things that didn't work, and then one thing you could do differently.
Three that worked, two that didn't work, one you might do differently.
Three that worked, two that didn't work, one you might do differently.
And write down Blair Dunkley.
Yeah.
Blair Dunkley.
Why should they write down?
Yeah. He's got a webinar every Tuesday night.
Yeah.
And look it up. You'll find him. I'm not going to give the domain. It's something to do with wiring the mind. Just look up Blair Dunkley, wiring the mind.
If you have it.
What's that?
You can give the domain if you have it.
I don't remember it. If it's
Okay.
rewiring the mind. What's that? 9 o'clock East Coast. How many of you guys are on that?
I'll watch it sometime.
Yeah, I've been on a couple too. So I've actually, oh, hi, Betty. So I recommend that. I just, again, want to give credit where it's due. Blair's awesome. He's amazing. He's helped me so much.